Warning, viewer discretion advised. This video contains content that may be disturbing or triggering to some viewers. It includes detailed descriptions of violent crimes, graphic imagery, and discussions of sensitive topics such as murder, assault, and other criminal activities. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. If you are sensitive to such content, please consider watching another video. Stay safe and take care of your mental health. The Troubled Web, the Jade Janks story. In this episode of 22, we delve into the chilling case of Jade Janks, whose life took a dark turn leading to a shocking crime that stunned a community. Join us as we unravel the complex relationships, digital footprints, and the meticulous planning that culminated in a tragic end. The quiet coastal town of Solana Beach, California, known for its serene beaches and tight-knit community, was the unlikely backdrop for this unsettling crime. Jade Janks, a successful interior designer, and Thomas Merriman, a respected butterfly sanctuary co-founder, seemed like unlikely figures in a murder case. Yet, beneath the surface of their seemingly normal lives lay secrets and tensions that would ultimately lead to a deadly resolution. To understand the gravity of this case, we need to explore the relationship between Jade Janks and Thomas Merriman. Janks, known for her creativity and entrepreneurial spirit, had a close yet complicated relationship with her stepfather. Merriman, co-founder of the butterfly farms in Encinitas, was respected in the community but harbored secrets that would unravel in the most tragic way possible. Jade Janks was known in the community as a talented and driven interior designer. Her work brought beauty and elegance to numerous homes, earning her a reputation for excellence. Beyond her professional success, Jade was seen as a dedicated and loving family member, often taking care of those close to her. However, beneath this exterior lay a woman struggling with deep-seated emotions and personal turmoil. Thomas Merriman, co-founder of the butterfly farms in Encinitas, was a respected figure in the local community. Butterfly Farms was dedicated to conservation and education, making Merriman a beloved and influential figure among environmentalists and nature enthusiasts. His work at the farm was seen as a noble endeavor, and he was often lauded for his contributions to preserving local ecosystems. The relationship between Jade Janks and Thomas Merriman was multifaceted. As her stepfather, Merriman played a significant role in Janks' life, offering support and guidance. However, like many familial relationships, theirs was not without its complexities. Over time, subtle tensions and unspoken conflicts simmered beneath the surface. These underlying issues would later become crucial in understanding the events leading up to the crime. Join us as we unravel the complex web of emotions, secrets, and digital footprints that led to a crime that left a community reeling and a family torn apart. This is the story of betrayal, anger, and a desperate bid for justice. Welcome to this episode of 22. The turning point in this story came when Jade Janks discovered explicit photos of herself on Merriman's computer. This shocking discovery shattered the fragile balance of their relationship. The photos represented not just a breach of privacy, but a deep personal betrayal that left Janks feeling violated and enraged. This moment marked the beginning of a dark path that would lead to tragic consequences. The emotional fallout from this discovery was immediate and intense. Jade experienced a whirlwind of emotions: shock, disgust, anger, and a profound sense of betrayal. The stepfather she had once looked up to was now a figure of deep distrust and resentment. Jade's mind raced as she tried to process the violation and what it meant for her relationship with Merriman. As days passed, Jade's initial shock morphed into a smoldering rage. The images were more than just a violation of privacy, they represented a deep personal betrayal that Jade could not ignore. She felt trapped in a situation where her dignity and trust had been stripped away. Her thoughts turned dark as she began to contemplate how to deal with the man who had betrayed her so thoroughly. Jade's emotions were compounded by the fear of what else Merriman might have done or could do in the future. She feared the possibility of the photos being shared or discovered by others, which could further humiliate and devastate her. This fear fed her anger, driving her to consider drastic measures to protect herself and regain control over her life. In the days and weeks following the discovery, Jade's interactions with Merriman became increasingly strained. The trust that once underpinned their relationship was shattered, replaced by suspicion and hostility. Jade's demeanor changed. Friends and family noticed she was more withdrawn, and there were signs of inner turmoil that she tried to mask but could not fully hide. Jade's thoughts began to crystallize into a plan. She believed that confronting Merriman would not bring the resolution she needed. Instead, she started to think about how she could eliminate the source of her pain permanently. This led her down a path of meticulous planning, considering various methods and scenarios to ensure that her stepfather would no longer be a threat to her. She carefully plotted each step, driven by the desire for justice and a need to reclaim her sense of security and control. Her meticulous nature as an interior designer played a role in her planning, as she applied the same attention to detail to this dark and desperate scheme. Jade believed that removing Merriman from her life was the only way to truly protect herself and ensure that her nightmare would not continue. December 31, 2020. A day meant for celebration, but for Jade Janks, it marked the culmination of her dark intentions. She picked up Thomas Merriman from a medical facility, where he had been recovering from a fall. On the surface, it seemed like a caring gesture, but Jade's true motives were far from compassionate. As they drove home, Jade's mind was set. She had prepared a lethal cocktail of drugs and alcohol, intending to incapacitate Merriman. The drive was uneventful, with Merriman unsuspecting of the fate that awaited him. Upon arriving home, Jade assisted Merriman into the house. She offered him a drink, laced with the deadly mixture she had prepared. As Merriman consumed the tainted beverage, Jade watched, knowing there was no turning back. Minutes turned into hours, and the drugs began to take effect. Merriman, already weakened from his hospital stay, succumbed quickly. Jade then moved his body, positioning it in such a way to make his death appear accidental. She cleaned up meticulously, leaving no trace of the struggle that had taken place. But despite her careful planning, Jade made several critical mistakes. Digital footprints, text messages, and phone calls would later provide a trail of evidence that pointed directly to her. In the hours following the crime, Jade attempted to maintain a facade of normalcy. She interacted with friends and family, trying to suppress the guilt and fear gnawing at her. However, the weight of her actions would soon catch up with her. Jade Janks had committed a heinous act, believing it was the only way to reclaim her life and dignity. But the truth has a way of surfacing, and the consequences of her actions would soon become inescapable. In the days following Thomas Merriman's death, the police began their investigation. Initially, it seemed like an unfortunate accident or perhaps a natural death, given Merriman's recent health issues. However, as detectives looked closer, inconsistencies began to emerge. Digital footprints started to unravel the truth. Text messages between Jade Janks and her friends hinted at her distress and anger towards Merriman. One particularly damning message revealed Jade's intent: "I can't let him get away with this." Phone records showed a flurry of activity on the day of Merriman's death, including calls to friends and a suspicious lack of activity from Merriman's phone after a certain time. Surveillance footage from the medical facility and along the route home also placed Jade and Merriman together on the day in question. As the detectives pieced together the timeline, they found more troubling evidence. They discovered that Jade had purchased sedatives shortly before Merriman's death, and her internet search history included queries about lethal dosages and how to mask evidence of poisoning. The autopsy results further complicated the case. The toxicology report showed high levels of sedatives in Merriman's system, inconsistent with his prescribed medications. This evidence pointed towards foul play rather than a natural cause of death. Interviews with friends and family painted a picture of a once close relationship that had turned toxic. Friends recounted how Jade had become increasingly withdrawn and agitated after discovering the explicit photos. They revealed her confessions about feeling violated and her desire for retribution. With mounting evidence, the police moved quickly to arrest Jade Janks. On January 5, 2021, detectives arrived at her home with a warrant. Jade was taken into custody, her composed demeanor a stark contrast to the chaotic turmoil of the previous weeks. During her interrogation, Jade maintained her innocence, claiming that the drugs found in Merriman's system were part of his prescribed treatment. However, her narrative began to crumble under the weight of the evidence. The text messages, the digital footprint, and the toxicology report all pointed to a premeditated act. Jade Janks was formally charged with the murder of Thomas Merriman. The arrest sent shockwaves through the community, as the once respected interior designer was now at the center of a sensational murder case. Friends, family, and neighbors struggled to reconcile the person they knew with the accusations against her. The case against Jade Janks continued to build, setting the stage for a dramatic trial that would captivate the public and media alike. The investigation had peeled back the layers of a deeply troubled relationship, revealing a story of betrayal, anger, and a desperate bid for control. As Jade awaited her day in court, the community of Solana Beach was left grappling with the unsettling reality that beneath the surface of their tranquil town, dark secrets could fester and erupt in unimaginable ways. Jade Janks faced a slew of charges as the evidence against her mounted. The primary charge was first-degree murder, indicating premeditation and intent to kill. Additionally, she faced charges of administering a toxic substance with intent to cause harm and obstruction of justice for attempting to stage the crime scene to look like an accident. The prosecution argued that Jade had meticulously planned Merriman's murder in response to discovering the explicit photos, portraying her as a calculating individual who went to great lengths to execute her plan. The defense, on the other hand, prepared to present a case rooted in emotional distress and a desperate reaction to a profound violation of privacy and trust. Jade's first court appearance was highly anticipated. The courtroom was filled with media, friends, family, and members of the community, all eager to hear the proceedings. Jade appeared composed, though the strain of the situation was evident. Her lawyers argued for bail, citing her clean record and strong community ties. However, given the severity of the charges, the judge denied bail, deeming her a potential flight risk. As the trial date approached, both sides prepared their cases. The prosecution collected a robust array of evidence, including the damning text messages, digital footprints, and toxicology reports. They also lined up witnesses, from forensic experts to friends who could testify about Jade's state of mind and actions leading up to the crime. During the trial, the prosecution laid out a clear and compelling narrative. They detailed Jade's discovery of the photos, her subsequent emotional turmoil, and the meticulous planning that led to Merriman's death. The jury heard about the internet searches on lethal dosages, the purchase of sedatives, and the sequence of events on the day of the crime. Forensic experts testified about the toxicology report, explaining the high levels of sedatives found in Merriman's system. They dismissed the defense's argument that the drugs were part of his prescribed treatment, highlighting the lethal quantities involved. Digital evidence experts traced Jade's activities, demonstrating how her phone records and internet history painted a picture of premeditated murder. The defense, however, focused on portraying Jade as a victim driven to a desperate act by a profound sense of betrayal and emotional distress. They called psychological experts who spoke about the impact of discovering such a violation by a trusted family member. These experts explained how the discovery could trigger extreme emotional responses, leading to irrational and desperate actions. Friends and family members testified about Jade's character, describing her as a kind, caring individual who was deeply affected by the betrayal. They painted a picture of a woman who felt cornered and saw no other way to escape her torment. The defense aimed to evoke sympathy from the jury, suggesting that Jade's actions, while extreme, were driven by a moment of emotional breakdown rather than cold-blooded calculation. Throughout the trial, public interest remained high. Media coverage was intense, with daily updates and analysis. Opinions were divided. Some viewed Jade as a victim of a severe emotional trauma, while others saw her as a calculating murderer. The trial became a topic of heated debate, both in the local community and nationwide. In their closing arguments, the prosecution reiterated the evidence of premeditation and intent, urging the jury to consider the overwhelming proof of Jade's guilt. They emphasized the planning and execution of the crime, portraying Jade as someone who carefully and deliberately ended Merriman's life. The defense, in turn, appealed to the jury's sense of empathy, asking them to consider the emotional and psychological toll of Merriman's betrayal. They argued that Jade's actions, while wrong, were the result of an unbearable emotional burden rather than a calculated desire to kill. The jury's deliberation was tense and prolonged. They had to weigh the clear evidence of planning against the defense's portrayal of a woman pushed to the edge by emotional distress. After several days, the jury returned with a verdict. Jade Janks was found guilty of first-degree murder. The evidence of premeditation and the clear intent to kill had outweighed the defense's arguments about her emotional state. The judge sentenced her to life in prison, reflecting the severity of her crime. The jury's deliberation was tense and prolonged. They had to weigh the clear evidence of planning against the defense's portrayal of a woman pushed to the edge by emotional distress. After several days, the jury returned with a verdict. Jade Janks was found guilty of first-degree murder. The evidence of premeditation and the clear intent to kill had outweighed the defense's arguments about her emotional state. The judge sentenced her to life in prison without the possibility of parole, reflecting the severity and premeditated nature of her crime. The verdict brought a sense of closure to some, but it left many others with lingering questions about the nature of justice and the complexities of human emotion. The community of Solana Beach was left reeling from the shocking crime. Residents who had once admired both Janks and Merriman struggled to reconcile their previous impressions with the grim reality of the case. Local media continued to cover the story, exploring the broader implications for issues of privacy, betrayal, and emotional trauma. Community meetings and forums were held, providing a space for residents to express their feelings and seek understanding. The crime served as a stark reminder that even in the most serene settings, dark and troubling secrets can lurk beneath the surface. For many, the Jade Janks case became a cautionary tale about the dangers of hidden betrayals and the lengths to which someone might go when pushed to their emotional limits. It sparked discussions about the importance of mental health support and the need for better mechanisms to address personal and familial conflicts. Legal experts and psychologists weighed in, offering insights into how such crimes could potentially be prevented. The case underscored the importance of addressing underlying emotional and psychological issues before they escalate into violence. For Jade's family and friends, the outcome was devastating. They were left to grapple with the dual loss of both Jade and Thomas Merriman. Many struggled with feelings of guilt and regret, wondering if there were signs they had missed or actions they could have taken to prevent the tragedy. Support groups and counseling services became vital for those closest to the case, helping them process their grief and confusion. The story of Jade Janks and Thomas Merriman became a reminder of the fragile nature of trust and the devastating consequences when that trust is shattered. The public reaction was mixed. Some sympathized with Jade, viewing her actions as a desperate response to a profound betrayal. Others saw her as a cold and calculating murderer who took the law into her own hands. The media played a significant role in shaping public perception, with in-depth analyses, interviews, and opinion pieces that kept the case in the spotlight for months. Nationally, the case sparked debates about privacy violations, the impact of digital footprints, and the adequacy of legal protections for victims of emotional and psychological abuse. It highlighted the need for a nuanced understanding of how emotional distress can drive individuals to commit extreme acts. As time passed, the community of Solana Beach slowly began to heal. The Butterfly Farms, co-founded by Merriman, continued its mission, serving as a symbol of resilience and continuity. Efforts were made to honor Merriman's legacy while acknowledging the complexities of his personal life. Jade Janks, now serving her life sentence, became a figure of both sympathy and caution. Her story was used in educational programs to highlight the importance of mental health and the potentially devastating consequences of unresolved emotional trauma. The Jade Janks case remains a poignant chapter in the history of Solana Beach, a reminder of the hidden struggles that can exist beneath the surface of seemingly normal lives. It serves as a call to action for greater awareness, support, and intervention in the face of emotional and psychological distress. Today, we've delved into the chilling and tragic story of Jade Janks and Thomas Merriman. We explored the complex and troubled relationship that turned deadly after Jade discovered explicit photos of herself on Merriman's computer. We walked through the meticulous planning of the crime, the execution, and the ensuing investigation that revealed the dark truth. We witnessed the legal battle that ended with Jade being sentenced to life in prison, and we saw the profound impact on the Solana Beach community. This case highlights the devastating effects of betrayal and the extreme measures that can result from emotional distress. It serves as a stark reminder of the importance of addressing mental health issues and the potential consequences of unresolved emotional trauma. Jade Janks' story is not just about a crime, it's about the human capacity for both vulnerability and violence when pushed to the edge. Join us next time on 22 as we delve deeper into the shadows of another chilling and unforgettable true crime tale. Stay tuned for more gripping details, shocking revelations, and the pursuit of justice on the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest investigations.